Well, good morning, everybody. It's Friday, the 15th of March, 2024. Officially starting our fourth week on this passage from Cape Town upstate to St. Helena. Conditions over the last number of days have been pretty similar to what they are right now. Can't see much out that way because of the sun glare. But the wind has been generally from the southeast. Might go south, southeast, southeast, east, southeast. It's up and down in strength a bit. I think a couple of days ago I actually had to run the motor for a little while because the wind had almost completely died out. Late yesterday, I dropped the staysail, which I had set up for with the storm jib on the staysail stay, and put up the drifter to get the boat going because the wind was pretty light. But then, of course, as these things happen through the night, early hours, just after sunrise away, maybe 7 o'clock this morning, wind started picking up. We get these, I don't know, I wouldn't call it a squall because the wind isn't that strong. They're like cloud lines that come through, wind lines, and the wind gets up a bit. 12, 15 knots, more like 15 knots. That's just too much for the drifter, which is only an ounce and a half. And the wind has gone seemingly a little more to the east-southeast. So, decided to drop the drifter, put the staysail back up on the head stay, and because we've got the wind a little bit farther forward than aft, so it's still on a broad reach, but the wind's far enough forward that I could add the double reefed main to the whole combination. Right now it's probably, we've got one of these little cloud lines passing overhead. Sometimes we get a light sprinkling of rain with it. So we're up in making up in the 5 knot range, which is good. I think early yesterday, maybe late the night before, we actually crossed the direct straight course line from Cape Town to St. Helena. It's a course of 310 degrees. We've been south of that pretty much ever since we left Cape Town. In the beginning, a quite strong wind for a number of days. And then it went lighter, shifted around a little for a number of days, although generally still from the southeast. Conditions as they are right now, pretty much been the same for, I'll say, about the last 3 days. But we finally got north of that course line, and the approach to St. Helena is recommended to go around the northeast corner. And the harbor, such as it is on the northwest side of the island. So rather than going up the lee side of the island and there's a floppy bounce around with no wind, it's better to go around the north end. And I did that before when I came this way, around the north end. Of course, nobody said anything about the completely unmarked fuel line laying out there in the water, which I almost ran into. No mark on the chart, no warning, no light even on the thing. Just happened to be sitting up in the cockpit and I noticed this dark thing on the water. Well, it's barely afloat and could easily have run into it if I wasn't paying a little closer attention. Of course, I was in sight of land. That's one of the reasons I was sitting up in the cockpit watching what was going on. Anyway, I expected to have been here already a couple of days back. But with the shifty conditions with the wind, with the up and the down, I played it rather conservatively with the amount of sail. So a lot of times we're only making 3 to 4 knots. I suppose if I'd have put up more sail and pushed the boat a little harder, we could have got that average speed up maybe a knot. And we'd have got here, over a 3-week passage, we would have gotten here a little sooner than we are getting here. But it is what it is, and it was what it was. And right now, the last couple days, conditions have been, sailing conditions have been pretty nice. It's actually starting to get a bit warm now. I'm wearing shorts again. Although at night it still gets pretty cool because the water is cold here. Still coming up from the south, I suspect. Anyway, it's been a not bad passage. The beginning, even with all that wind, was a little slow. I had a little trouble getting the steering figured out. I thought when I was in Simonstown I got the wheel recentered, so that red mark right there should be straight up center. But as it turns out, I got to go about a half a wheel to the left for the rudder to be centered. So I'm going to have to look at that again when we get up to St. Helena. It's a little annoying that wheel centered is a half a spoke. It's got to be turned a half a spoke to the left. And that was kind of throwing me for a loop because I'm trying to get the boat to go with the red mark in the center, and it doesn't want to do that. It keeps going right. So it took me a while to figure out that my recentering efforts hadn't worked out real well. Other than that, everything is going along pretty well. No problems with the rigging. Finally got that, I think, straightened out. Sails all seem to be in pretty good shape. I was just thinking about it yesterday. My storm jib, which are still flying right now, I bought that used on eBay for a pretty nominal sum. And before I left, so say somewhere in 2010, well it's 2024 now, so I've had it sail for 14 years. Other than the Storm Trysail, which has only seen limited use in comparison, that storm jib turned out to be quite a good deal. Although it's not designed as a storm jib, it's just a small boat jib or a small boat Genoa, like almost a trailer sailor type sail. And I've had to do some repairs for along the luff. I replaced the wire in the luff so that the sail sets properly. Put some more anti-chafing around the grommets where the hanks are, and stuff like that. But the fabric in the sail itself is held up quite well. It hasn't stretched out of shape outrageously. And that's pretty good because I think it's at most 6-ounce fabric. Could be less than that. The new staysail is performing quite nicely, so very happy with that, as is the new mainsail. The Yankee is an on-again, off-again situation with the use, depending on the direction of the wind, the apparent wind direction. The Genoa is still, even though I had it made in 2014, the fabric's still crispy because I don't hardly use it. I'm thinking that when we leave St. Helena heading up towards Ascension, I might break that out and set it off to leeward, which would be the port side, and sheet it off the end of the main boom, of course, and then use another head sail to balance it, using a spinnaker pole to starboard. Because the course from Cape Town to St. Helena was 310. To Ascension, it's about 314, if you want to be precise. And then once you get up to Ascension, it's going to be more westerly. Not much. somewhere around 320, I believe, until we get up further in the North Atlantic. So, all things considered, it's been except for a little boisterousness at the beginning, it's been a pretty nice passage coming up here. A lot cooler in the beginning than I prefer, but now it's starting to warm up a bit. Get out there in the afternoon and sit in the sunshine. The sun is quite hot because we're let's see, we're almost to the spring equinox, and that puts the sun at noon almost directly ahead because, I'm sorry, not ahead, overhead, because it's the 15th of March. Spring equinox is the 21st. That's when the sun crosses from south to north declination. So it's almost directly overhead right now. And we'll kind of sail along with it as it's heading towards its maximum north declination and bringing summertime up in the North Atlantic and the Northern Hemisphere. We'll be sailing right along with it. So we'll probably have the sun overhead directly or nearly within about 10 degrees or so of the meridian, until we get up to the Tropic of Cancer, which is 23 degrees, 27 minutes north latitude. And hopefully also don't plan to spend more than a couple of days here at St. Helena. Mostly to reprovision a few things, get some water, perhaps some more diesel fuel. I haven't used much, but I like to have the tanks full, especially setting off on a long passage with no stops in between. St. Helena is about 700 miles, Barbados about another 3,000 miles. So expect next passage, whether or not we stop at Ascension, I don't know for sure now, but I expect the next passage to take twice as long. So up in the range of 6 weeks. This one is 3 weeks. Depending, of course, on wind. Got to have wind to push the boat. Shouldn't be a problem as we get further north in the North Atlantic. The thing is between mostly getting up to Ascension and then getting up across the equator. I don't know how much or how big the band of doldrums is in the Atlantic. It's if it's anything like the Pacific, it's usually north of the equator. I know in the Pacific it's up around 5 degrees north of the equator is the center of the doldrums. It's not right on the equator. Anyway, that's it for now. We're doing okay. Sailing along here, enjoying the weather. Watching a series of TV shows and playing games and occupying our time and reading. At least I read. So, I'll sign off for now. I'll do a little bit more up in St. Helena. I don't know what the deal is there with internet access. I'm kind of hoping that maybe they use the same service that they used in South Africa, which I still have time, load, whatever you call it, on that system, so I'd be able to use it again, but I don't know what they do there. My bad. I should have checked that before we left South Africa. Of course, you can't get a SIM or anything like that in a different country. You know, if you're going to country B, you can't get a SIM for country B if you're in country A. At least I haven't been able to find a new way to do that, and I certainly don't want an open plan, unlimited international access SIM. Monthly fees on those things are prohibitive. Plus, the data costs are pretty high because you always got to do data roaming. Anyway, I'll say it again. Bye for now.